Good afternoon, Cincinnati. I have a proclamation from the desk of the mayor. Whereas Joseph Lee Burrow, who's 3-0 against Mahomes, has been asked by officials to take a paternity test confirming whether or not he's his father. Now, therefore, I, Aftab Purval, mayor of the city of Cincinnati, do hereby proclaim January 29th, 2023 as They Gotta Play Us Day in Cincinnati. Thank you.
It's Championship Sunday, and welcome to Playoff Tailgate. Just 3 games left in the NFL season, and we're playing 2 of them today. Starting in Philly, you know the fans are amped, they're pumped. Skubie Mageza here, alongside Jason Fitz and Daniel Dopp, getting pumped for a good day of some football. We got a packed show for y'all today. We're going to break down both of these games in depth and give you our best bet and make our game picks as well. And then, is Joe Cool the coolest player in the NFL? We got somebody cool joining the show, Andrew Hawkins, where him and Fitz will break down their cool list. So stay tuned for that. And then we got one man joining us from Toronto, Canada, serving his 24-hour fantasy football punishment in a Denny's, y'all. That sucks. So we got a lot in this show. We're going to have a lot of fun. So let's just start in the AFC.
Wait. I'm going to totally take you off the rails out the gate. The mayor talking? Can we just admit this? Like, I'm a little, I'm a little guy. Everybody knows I'm a little guy. There was a period of time in my life where a couple of players that I know that are buddies with that played in the NFL were like, I'm no longer going out with you. Because I would we'd be out in the bar, and when you got 2 guys that are 6'7", 350 pounds, I'm going to talk my talk. I'm going to walk up and be like, who do you think? That was a different period in my life. I think the mayor of Cincinnati just did that. And he's not going to take the hits. He's not going to be the one that's in the line of fire. And he's not going to have to deal with the punishment. He could just sit there in his nerdy little time and be where to for as hear this, then, and then all of a sudden the Bengals are looking around being like, man, I asked Perk the other day on radio, I said, Perk, as big as you are, if we go to the bar together, can I run my mouth? And he said, if we come together, we leave together, but I won't be happy after. Mayor needs that message. Just saying.
Listen, Fitz was like, oh, Mayor, you thought you were going to get off with that comment? I like how you got his ass right there, Fitz. Fitz will never let them slip. But speaking of the AFC Championship of last year rematch, Joe Burrow and the Bengals erased an 18-point deficit last year and punched their ticket to the Super Bowl. And remember, it was in Kansas City as well. Now, you might remember this meme that we showed you in Week 13 after the Bengals won their matchup against the Chiefs, 27-24 in Cincinnati.
So
Bengals quarterback Mike Hinton has even labeled Arrowhead Stadium as Burrowhead Stadium. And we got some reaction, beginning with the Chiefs tight end, Travis Kelce.
We are the loudest stadium in the world on record.
Did you guys break the record this week?
Maybe we're going to have to break it this week because a lot of Cincinnati Bengals fans are calling it Burrowhead instead of
Burrowhead. Whoa!
So I'll be at the game at Burrowhead Stadium. See what I did there? No? Okay, I love that.
Disrespect to Arrowhead continues.
They're throwing a lot of bulletin board material out there, man.
The mayor back at it again. Maybe he should do a punishment if the Bengals lose.
There should be that. And the mayor is making sure to squeeze all the juice out of this orange. He's making sure to get involved.
I do want to say, though, you mentioned an 18-point comeback, and it's up on the screen, an 18-point comeback. It should be stressed that the Chiefs, in all 3 of these losses they have been up by at least 7 points. But also, it should be stressed that that's part of the way the Bengals do business. If you look over the last 2 years defensively, the Bengals are in the lower third in every major defensive statistical category in the first half of games. In the second half of games, they are in the top 3 in every. They go from lower third to top 3. Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, is making adjustments better than anybody. So when you look at this and you're like, wow, the Chiefs always get a lead. Cool, everybody gets a lead on the Bengals in the first half. Doesn't matter. You have a very calm, cool, collected quarterback, and you have a defense that out-adjusts. That's the huge key to it.
The game seems to never be over until it's over, and I feel like Tom Brady started that with that 28-3 comeback, and then we got Kirk Cousins coming back from 33. Now we got Joe Burrow coming back from 18. The game is never over until that fat lady sings. So we'll see if there's a fat lady singing over there in Arrowhead. Now check out this pick that Joe Burrow. Oh, well, let's take a look at the matchup. Career head-to-head. You mentioned it, Fitz. Joe Burrow is 3-0 versus Patrick Mahomes. The numbers speak for themselves. Joe Burrow has performed way better than Mahomes in this matchup, Dopp.
Yeah, and if I'm picking one of these guys, it's tough to go against Patrick Mahomes playing at home in Arrowhead. But Joe Burrow has been absolutely fantastic, not just against him in his career, but this whole Joe Cool thing. There is something to be said for huge moments and being able to understand and handle those situations. And it's certainly not that Patrick Mahomes can't do that, but there is this thing of I want to see Joe Burrow again get back to that spot, because this Bengals team, with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon and Tyler Boyd, they have so many good young skill position players that being able to watch Joe Burrow go out there and do his thing, where you know he's going to have to probably throw it 40 to 45 times in order to keep up, it's going to be a really fun game. I don't know, man. I just really feel like I
got some good football.
It's about moments, and you're right. The fourth quarter are moments. We see Joe Burrow make plays, and I know we've had the numbers. Everybody's talking about him. In the fourth quarter, in these matchups particularly, Joe Burrow's QBR is about 50 points higher than Patrick Mahomes. This isn't just about these two quarterbacks and taking each other on. It's about the fact that 6 touchdown passes for Mahomes in the first half of their 3 matchups, no touchdown passes in the second half. This is about the meltdown of Mahomes and the rise of Burrow that we've seen. Not that it's just on these two quarterbacks, but it's situational. Fourth quarter, you see it, can't get it out of your mind.
Yeah, and there's lots of talk this week about Patrick Mahomes and his ankle injury. This betting line has been moving a lot based on his ankle. I mean, it's the most talked about ankle that I can remember in recent history. First, it opened with the Chiefs as a 1.5-point favorite, and then it switched to the Bengals being a 2.5-point favorite, and now it's back to the Chiefs being a 1.5-point favorite. Obviously, that has something to do with the injury, as I mentioned. Now, guys, do you think that this injury is going to play a huge role in this game? Because Andy Reid did say he expects the Bengals to blitz him more, and we do know that Patrick Mahomes has more throws outside the pocket than any other QB.
Yeah, I would really want to be able to know how serious the injury is. I think that's one of the things for me, Fitz. And I don't know if we have is there any kind of documentation for us to know?
I think there's an X-ray. There's an X-ray picture.
Oh, we did
got an X-ray?
We did get one.
He got that dog in him.
Stop it. When I saw this on our show sheet, I did not realize that the dog had the hair as well. Yeah. Now that I see it on the screen, this is a much better picture.
Yeah, a real question here. If you go to the doctor and you see that, do you remove the dog and raise the dog as your own? Do you leave the dog in the animal? I mean, it just feels to me as a dog lover. Like,
that was Patrick Mahomes' trainer as well who tweeted that picture. But it speaks a lot to how much we're focusing on this ankle. And I saw how Mahomes was handling himself in that game. To see him compete, to want to stay in that game, hop around on one leg, he still was able to make plays.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that I don't have some kind of trepidation, understanding, like, just in sitting in this exact seat with Stephania Bell almost every single week. When you talk about high ankle sprains, it's just not an injury that typically heals in a quick fashion, period, end of story. And that doesn't mean that Patrick Mahomes can't plan it, that they can't be good, that they can't find a way to be able to play through all of that, but it at least gives me enough pause in the biggest game of his, season here that, like, that's part of why I'm thinking Burrow over Mahomes.
Yeah, and hey, he's still going to play the game. He's going to give it all. And it is important to note that Travis Kelce was also dealing with an injury this week. He had back spasms, is expected to play in the game.
Could have reminded me of that before I placed a bet a few minutes ago.
Oh, yeah!
I mean,
all right, let's head over to the NFC matchup now where the Eagles host the 49ers and check out what these Niners fans had to do to the Rocky statue, because the trolling is serious. They're calling it Brocky instead of Rocky now, y'all. And you gotta love it, right?
No, that's just
This is what you do when you got two teeth.
Look at them. That's it.
This is what you
do.
This is what you do when you want to get your ass kicked in somebody else's stadium.
Right.
And then what they'll do is they'll post a video of them getting their ass kicked, and they'll be like, I don't know why it
Look
happened.
at those guys holding the Brocky belt. Do you think they were gonna be tough enough to walk up to them? They look like some big dudes.
They did. That belt was actually pretty good, too. It looked like they spent some time on it. I don't know as though I can go into someone else's hometown and like take over one of their statues as my own. Maybe not until we actually win the game. Maybe once we win the game, we can do that.
Yeah, talk your talk after. Like, I've learned that as a Raiders fan, right? Like, when your team always blows it, like, talk your talk afterwards. But I do think with Brock, there's a real conversation here. And I want to be very fair to the young man, because he's played 2 road games in his career. One in Seattle, the other in Vegas. And that, frankly, was really a home game for San Francisco. The Raiders had to go to a silent count, right? He's going to experience something far different in this game than he has ever experienced in the NFL. And frankly, even more different than he experienced in college. We've talked, Scooby, a lot about this is the different version of Brock Purdy that you and I saw watching him at Iowa State. But I will say this. If we want to have that conversation about Brock, fine. But is it not also fair to remind everybody that Jalen Hurts has never played an NFC Championship game? A year ago, we weren't sure if Jalen Hurts was the answer. Now it's like, oh, well, he's the experience. Oh, like, we have no idea who either of these quarterbacks are in this matchup.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like in looking at this, there's at least enough of Jalen Hurts has been doing this all season long, right? Understanding that. I don't know, though. There's something about these moments where it's like you get into a situation where it almost doesn't make a difference to me until you come in and you play the game the first time and you're here. Nothing that these kids did in college, although they did play against each other in college, which is a big part of this. One of the things that I do think about. Who won that game? Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts played together in 2019 in the Big 12. Oklahoma won 42-41. In case there is any question.
It was an insane game.
I do not remember this game at all. Do you guys want to give me, now understanding this was 4 years foreshadowing, so we're finally getting here.
While Purdy was responsible for 6 touchdowns in this game, Jalen Hurts had 5, and obviously Jalen Hurts was at that point this year where he was a Heisman candidate coming over from Alabama. Big 12 football was big here. Brock Purdy was this offense, and you see him and Jalen Hurts dapping each other there, and you wouldn't expect that they had that history, but I think it's just so dope to have this story with these two guys because we got Jalen Hurts, dude who got pulled out of the national championship game and replaced by Tua in the second half, and then we got Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, who didn't do much at Iowa State, not even win a Big 12 championship, so both of these QBs have impressive stories.
But here's the thing, and you're right, we talk so much about the quarterbacks because that's what we do. But this matchup is not about the quarterbacks. This matchup is about what is Joey Bosa going to do against Lane Johnson and how are they going to decide where to line him up on the defensive line for a guy that's given up, 1 sack in the last how many years, right? Like, this game is about what the defensive side of the ball is going to, like, I genuinely believe the 49ers have constructed a masterpiece of a roster that is capable of insulating whoever their quarterback is. So now it becomes about the fact their defense has to step up. You look at the stats here, second against the run, against the team that's running fourth, and the other question here that I have genuinely is it's not called the PO, it's called the RPO. Is Jalen Hurts' shoulder healthy enough to RPO? It's going to have to be, but he's going to have to protect his body against a defense that flies faster, gets to the ball better, and is more disciplined than any he's faced.
And Doc, you were saying they have to cut him loose this game because in the last game, the way that they played Jalen Hurts, it seemed to be a little bit conservative.
Yeah, it felt like they were just trying to get him out there and make sure that he was comfortable and ready to go for the time that we got here, right? For this game, they just didn't want him coming in cold. But there's something about that. I want to be able to see more from him from that standpoint. I want to, this is a quarterback that is in the biggest game of his career. He's got as many weapons as he has ever had. And this is, for me, I think it's bigger for Jalen Hurts than it is for Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy loses this game, people are going to be disappointed. But you can still fall back on this kid is a 7th rounder that's played 2 games. Like,
he's already surpassed
expectations. Absolutely. He's playing with house money at this point. But for Jalen Hurts, it'll be a big disappointment for this Eagles team that crushed it all year long, that he led all year long. This is where he needs to show up and show that he's the superstar that he became this year.
And he'll go from playing with house money, like you made that analogy for Purdy. Hurts goes out here and makes it to a Super Bowl. Remember, he was a 2nd-round draft pick. He does not have the 5th-year option, so it was only a 4-year deal. He is going to be eligible for an extension next year. My guy's going to get paid.
Also, on this, and I will be very fast.
Huge bag.
Okay.
Can you imagine if Brock Purdy and the 49ers win a Super Bowl, and now the 49ers can be like, hey, do we want to stick with this kid, a cost-controlled 7th-round pick for the next 4 years, with this roster construction that you just talked about that can insulate a quarterback like that, save so much money, move on from Trey Lance, and continue to build around the rest of that roster?
We got some drama.
Think about it.
That's what I would do.
All right, so with all that said, we'll have a Super Bowl after today, right? We're going to have these two teams. Somebody's going to be decided. So I got to sink in. What Super Bowl matchup do we want to see? Not the one that we necessarily think is going to happen. What Super Bowl matchup do we want to see? I'm going with 49ers Chiefs. I love the story of Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Everybody loves the underdog story because it gives us a little bit hope and it makes us think that we can do it too. So let's get Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl because it's going to give us a little bit of drama on the 49ers side, which I love to see. What are you going to do with Trey Lance? Because they still don't know what they're going to do. And then Patrick Mahomes. the way that he battled against the Jaguars after that ankle injury. I was watching the NFL Films Instagram, and they had the behind-the-scenes talk with Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. Andy Reid is like, "No, you're not getting back in the game." Mahomes is like, "No, let me go." Like, go get X-rays. He's like, "Just let me do one more drive. I'm not doing it. Let me go in." That competitive spirit of Mahomes, it reminded me of the time that Brian Leftwich had to get carried up and down the field when he was in college. It reminded me of so many different things, and I just want to see Mahomes make it, and I love it. Fitz, who do you want to see?
Okay, so I'm going to be the old man and be like, "Let me tell you a story." But, I'm 45, right? I vaguely, one of my first great Super Bowl memories in my life watching as a football fan as a kid was the 49ers versus the Bengals. And it was awesome for me because I grew up broke ass, but we had we had MTV, we had one of those free trials on MTV, and the Bengals, who I had a crush on, were playing before the Bengals took on the 49ers in the Super Bowl. And that was famously the Super Bowl that the Bengals had in the bag. It looked like they were going to win it. And the 49ers went on a game-winning drive. And there's this story of Joe Montana standing in the huddle as they needed a 2-minute drive to win the Super Bowl. And he saw John Candy, and he looked around at the guys. He's like, "Guys, look, John Candy's in the crowd." And it relaxed the whole huddle. Everybody just sort of took a collective breath. They laughed about it. They went down the field. They scored. They won what was, for me, a historic Super Bowl. For that reason, I want it. I want that one.
I'm going to go with the Eagles and the Bengals, and here's why. I just talked about Jalen Hurts. This kid has been so good. There were so many question marks coming into this year. Is he going to take the next step? Is he going to be able to be that guy that we wonder if he's going to be able to be to lead this organization? Adding A.J. Brown. I love being able to see a kid like him finally get used after what it felt like Tennessee just didn't know what to do with him, even though he was a superstar.
Dummies.
I want the Eagles because I feel like they have just done such an awesome job all year long. They deserve to be here. I think they are the best team in the NFC. And as far as the Bengals, I just love this Joe Burrow, this young core that they have of their superstars. And maybe it's my fantasy whatever showing through. Yeah. But it's just so much fun. They have a great roster that is exciting to watch game in and game out. It is never not fun to watch the Bengals play offense.
All right, so take a look at what our analytics says, because FBI likes the Eagles and Chiefs as the most likely Super Bowl matchup. Not a ton of faith in the 49ers with just a 7% chance to house the Lombardi Trophy. Now, keep in mind, FBI cannot account for injuries or how limited a certain player might be, so we're assuming here that Mahomes is 100%.
He's not going away. Joe Burrow has arrived.
Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in football.
If I really had to choose, I'm taking Joe Burrow. If you already have Mahomes, everyone.
Joe Burrow has put the world on notice.
If Joe Burrow beats Patrick Mahomes and goes on to win a Super Bowl, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a new number one in my eyes, and it will be Joe Burrow.
Some cool stuff there on Joe Burrow. So why don't we do the segment that I talked about earlier in the show? We got Andrew Hawkins joining us, another cool dude, making this the cool segment. So what we're going to do here, because Andrew, you played for the Bengals before Joe Burrow was over there, we're going to have you guys pick the coolest players left in the playoffs. And we're going to have Hawk go first since he answered the group text before you.
I'm an objector to the fact that Hawk is, he played in the NFL, so he gets the first pick. That's fine.
That's how it is.
Just go ahead. I mean, just go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, Hawk,
my cool
who you got on your all-cool
NFL.
team?
I was cool way before the NFL, Fitz. All right, first overall pick here. This is easy. You don't get a name like Joe Cool, Joey B, Joe Shiesty, Joe Burr, unless you have all the swag in the world. That is Joe Burrow. This is such a simple pick. He's first overall naturally in the draft, and of course he's first overall in the swag draft, Fitz. What you got for me?
Yeah, no, you're right about that, and I can't even be mad about it. By the way, we've nicknamed him Grapefruits for obvious reasons on Fitz and Harry, because he plays with them grapefruits.
Why?
He plays with them grapefruits. He's got them grapefruits when he plays. All right, so I got to get a quarterback coming out of this all-swaggy team, and I'm not mad about this one. I'll take Patty Mahomes. Look, Patrick Mahomes goes in on this list, but swag's different for everybody, right? Like the ability to go out and know that you could do whatever while somebody's hanging off of you, and you you got one leg and your pogo sticking around. There's swag to pogo sticking. So I got Patrick Mahomes. Plus, I saw it last year when Max Crosby hit him, headbutt him, and he was like, I'm here, coming out. Like little guy with a lot of talk. I'll take Mahomes.
Playing on one ankle was pretty cool,
pogo
too.
sticking.
He was a dog about that. So I agree with you, Fitz. We got some good first-round picks here. What we got in round 2, Hawk?
You know what? I like the Patty Mahomes pick, but I'm gonna be honest. I feel like you're giving me this competition right now, Fitz. I'm going with Jalen Hurts, man. I mean, look, I see more highlights of him walking into the stadium than I do in the game, and that's not to say he doesn't have big game highlights. We know he's a beast. He's an MVP candidate, but this dude is swaggy, and the bounce back swag. He's having a career so far that I don't think any of us expected, and he is really becoming himself, and that's what true swag is. Being yourself.
Nah, he's new money swag. See, like he's new. Like Mahomes is like old money swag. I got this. I'm used to being here. I can't believe you didn't take. Like, there's one person on this list that everybody knows. You get invited to the party, you rest for 3 days because you got it ready for it.
Rest for 3 days?
Yeah, no. Like I got Travis Kelce invites coming. I'm just like, all right, if that's the way we're gonna do this thing, swag is also about the ability to know you walk into the club and everybody right away is like, that guy in whatever he would like. If I would have bottle service with one person on this list not named Joe Burrow, it's Travis Kelce. So I'm all in on Kelce.
These are some pretty cool guys, man. I'm liking what we got over here. We got some cool players in the playoffs. Round 3, man. What we got?
Fitz, why are you making this so easy on me? Travis, I love him. That's my boy, my guy. We go back. He's not even the swaggiest Kelce in his household. The answer is Jason Kelce at number 3. And this was my sleeper pick. I only picked him 3rd because I knew he'd be available. He was actually number 1 on my board. There is nothing more swaggy than being yourself. There's a quote in the Starsky and Hutch movie with Ben Stiller. And he says, be yourself, kids. That's what's really cool. And that's what Jason Kelce is. He is himself everywhere he goes, and everybody respects it, and you can't help but love it.
No. Wait, now, I'm going to give you facts. Just facts here. If I walk into 100 people and I'm like, hey, let's go to Kelsey's place, we're having a party, 98 of those 100, when they walk in and see it's Jason, not Travis, are going to be like, oh, it's still fine. It's still fine.
Way.
100%. Honey, you made this easy on me.
You're tripping.
Look,
you're both making it easy on each other. I like this back and forth because
I can't believe we don't have a wide receiver in this group yet, because wide receiver always screams swag. I'm taking A.J. Brown, somebody that manages in every possible room to find the right way to get the room sort of ripped up the good way. Like, there's something about A.J. Brown and the way he handles himself. Plus, just the swagginess of that whole Titans matchup where he went out and was like, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to get people fired for letting me walk out the room, and I'm still just going to be casual about it the way that I do it. That is a level of owning your you-know-what I'll take all day. I like my team here. I got. All
right. So looking at all this that you guys got, you clearly don't think anyone on the 49ers is cool because nobody on that team made the list. But Fitz, I love you, brother, but Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, you can't get cooler than that. And I do like the 2 and 3. Listen, Mahomes, just because of his brother, he loses some cool points. That's how I'm going to put it down there.
That's fair.
Fair enough, right?
That's fair.
All right, there we go.
That's how I feel about being a friend of Gary Streisky's on TikTok, right? Like, we're all doing the same thing.
All right, speaking of cool, why don't we talk about Swagoo, who has an idea of which quarterback needs to perform the best in the matchup?
The quarterback in this championship round that I have the most confidence in is Jalen Hurts. This offense is so manufactured and tailored to what he does well. He's the one quarterback in this playoff that his legs are a major element to what they do. He's surrounded by the best offensive line in football. He has major weapons in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and he's been playing at an MVP level, even though I think that's Patrick Mahomes. But Jalen Hurts is the guy that I have the most confidence in this AFC-NFC championship weekend. Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, so we teased it earlier in the show, and now it is time. We're joined by Juan Delgado in Toronto at a Denny's, serving his 24-hour fantasy football punishment. And Juan, to my understanding, you're in hour 18. Tell us how you're feeling right now. How's it going?
I'm super tired. I just want to be horizontal so bad, but I'm holding on strong. I just got some chicken tendies so that'll hold me out for a bit.
Chicken tendies. Well, I'm gonna let my hair down because this is my space right here, right? All this fantasy stuff. I'm gonna live it up a little bit if you don't mind. Tell me what went wrong in your fantasy season that has landed you in a Denny's for the last 18 hours.
So, I mean, okay, first off, to be honest with you, I think I was in denial that I was a fantasy football person. To be honest, haven't watched a football game in about, beginning to end in about 6 years. So I was already doomed.
Oof.
But it was a 2-quarterback league, so quarterbacks are important. I drafted Tua, and I started 3-0. But then, poor guy got into concussion trouble, and then I got into trouble, and I went into 9 straight losses, and I was last. What could I do? I was last.
Yikes.
So you're 18 hours in. I can't even imagine what that feels like as a fantasy football champion this year. But I will say this. I have a love affair, and I mean an obsession with Moons Over Miami. What's the best thing that you've eaten so far, that you're going to go back and eat again over 24 hours?
The French toast was really good. They did a mean French toast here. They got the whipped butter on there, a little bit of icing sugar, some maple syrup. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Hey, can I ask really quickly, as a part of this, these other games are going to start here? Are you going to watch any of these football games? Are you going to start being a football guy now that you've come in last place in your fantasy league by watching any of the games today?
I'm gonna set some bets. I think people should follow my bets.
Yes. Juan, you're one of us! One of us!
Oh, my God.
I feel like this could be your supervillain origin story right here.
Are you going to play next year? Juan, are you playing next year?
I told my fiance I had to retire after this year.
Okay,
she was like,
that's fair.
You don't get to do this again. You're not good. She told me right out, you're not good.
You could have came back with a vengeance, this is my chance to get revenge. One of the guys in our league, he got punished, and now he won this year, so he got his revenge. I was thinking you were going to get some revenge, but you're out there in the Denny's right now serving your 18th hour. I hear that there's some fundraising going on with this punishment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to make, lemonade out of lemons. So I started a bit of a fundraiser thinking, $500, people will donate to a good cause. It's the Wagner Green YMCA, which is a local youth shelter here in downtown Toronto. They've been doing really good works before COVID, but especially during COVID, giving at-risk youth a place to stay. But yeah, I thought I'd only raise $500. Up until now, right this second, we've raised I think over $5,100. So I 10x that.
Wow.
So, I might not be good at fantasy football, but I can fundraise like a mother.
Yeah, you can. That's what's important, Juan.
You know what?
Go, brother.
Well done, dude.
That's right.
Those kids probably want you to play again so you can raise some money for them. It's not bad being at last.
You're doing it for the
kids.
kids.
So you raised money and you ate Moons Over Miami. I'm still trying to find the loss in this. My God, I'm hungry at this point.
Like a good day.
Juan, really appreciate you joining the show. Stay strong, brother. Just about 6 more hours to go in this punishment.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I need all the support I can get. It's tough, man. I've seen all sorts of people at Denny's. Denny's has been great, but I've seen all sorts of weather patterns. It's been a bit hard for sure.
I bet. Juan talked about putting down some bets, so why don't we toss it to our betting expert, Aaron Dolan, for our best bet of the day.
Today is a beautiful day to be alive because we get to watch the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game, and they are going to beat the 49ers. They don't even know what's coming for them on offense and on defense. Now, this game might be closer than people expect, so I'm saying just take the Eagles on the money line, and yes, you're laying some juice, but at the same time, you can just put this into a parlay. Now, as for my best bet, hear me out on this one. We're going A.J. Brown over 71.5 receiving yards. Here's why. Last game against the Giants, he had 22 receiving yards, but the Eagles' game plan was to run the ball the entire time to expose the Giants defense against the run. This is a totally different situation. If you look at the 49ers defense, they're very good, but they're second against the run and they're 20th against the pass. So Jalen Hurts can expose this area on the 49ers defense. Plus, if you look back to last game for the 49ers, in which the Dallas Cowboys, when they were on offense, CeeDee Lamb had over 100 receiving yards, but they were able to limit Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. A.J. Brown is going to have a huge game. He's going to go over his receiving yards. The Eagles are going to win at the link. They're going to the Super Bowl, and then they ultimately are going to win. So we'll check back after that, but my best bet is going to be A.J. Brown to go over receiving yards today.
All right, staying with that game, let's make our picks. Fitz, who you got?
Can't beat who you can't score on. 49ers going to win.
I disagree with that. I am taking the Eagles because they've been the best team in the NFL all season long, 20-17.
I'm riding with Fitz. Let's go Niners, 26-23. Now to the Bengals-Chiefs. Fitz, who you got?
Joe Burrow is too cool for me to go against. So I think the Bengals win this football game.
I just talked all that about how much I love Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I'm actually going to take the Chiefs in this one, though, because I really need them in one of my fantasy playoff pools. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs here, 24-30. 30-24.
He made a switch on his pick, whatever. I'm going Bengals, 26-24.
You guys like road dogs, huh?
You sure do.
Yeah, I also like watching the game with friends.
Ooh, that hurts.
Thanks for watching Playoff Tailgate. Enjoy the games. Peace. Oh, man.